right, hey everybody, welcome to the Particle Accelerator Podcast, where we talk to forward-thinking product leaders about how they leverage technology to accelerate business growth. And I am here with Chris Isac. Chris, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, yeah. So I am the co-founder and chief product officer at Nauta. You can find us ridenauta.com or ride Nauta on any of our socials. We are in the yacht space, focusing on day charter and creating an Uber-like experience that gives frictionless booking while getting everything you need from catering, crew, alcohol, water, toys all set up in one process. And our goal really is to take this industry and use technology to bring it into the future.
Awesome. So you're like the Uber for I'm on a boat
Exactly,
with my
exactly.
flippy floppies. Awesome. Cool, man. That's really cool. We did a SaaS like workforce management software for the marine industry. Um, and so this was really cool to see that that you guys were creating this, making essentially making yachts more accessible for folks for special events or for profession or leisure. That's really cool, man. What technology innovations are you betting on to drive your business growth?
Yeah, so I think for us, right, it's less about reinventing the wheel and more about rethinking how it's used and taking some of these innovations that other companies have already kind of plowed through in their own industries and applying it to our industry, right? And yachting is something that has always been so exclusive and so gate kept that it's kind of been held back from innovation for a while, right? Fundamentally, it still runs mostly off of that broker model that's been kind of unchanged since the 90s, right? And so, we had mentioned Uber. Uber already created a frictionless booking process, right? And if you think about some of the stuff that's on the horizon, right, as we get more into our customer analytics, we have more yachts, and we want to build out, let's say, a recommendation algorithm to be putting the right yachts in front of the right people. That's something Netflix already kind of perfected, and there's a ton of info out there from them. So we kind of, right, the way we try to think about it is we don't have to, do this green grass, put a ton of resources into figuring something out for the first time. We just have to be creative about seeing what works out there and how can we apply it to us.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, we talk a lot about doing the fundamentals super well, like having a really great user experience
Definitely.
and borrowing best practices with pride, right? It's not plagiarism, it's borrowing with pride.
Exactly.
Yeah, for
Exactly.
sure.
What is it? The
Yeah,
sincerest form of flattery, right?
yeah, exactly. Giving people access to the same kind of best practice user experience that they see on those major brands that they use all the time, but then applying that towards yachting, that makes a lot of sense. Is there anything as far as tech innovations that you've seen though that's kind of jumped out at you? Maybe not in your business, but just in general that you thought was really cool lately?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say that's even less that has had a huge impact on our business, but is less really geared towards the product, right? Is everything that's happening with the LLMs now and the generative AI and chat GPT and stuff. And one of the things I was talking to a friend who's also a founder recently, but about just how great of a time it is to start a company in terms of there is so much that you can get done that in the past you would need to raise a ton of money and have a ton of resources and hire a bunch of people to do it. And as a founder, you can just be so much more efficient with your time and kind of touching on a lot of areas that maybe you don't know as much about with a shorter learning curve by just kind of taking advantage of this tech that's out there, right?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. We help people with this kind of like their tech stack.
Yeah.
Um, and what kind of things. We have an AI tools index that we help folks with so that they can immediately jump in. We call it the periodic table of business tools because we have kind of this chemistry thing
Right.
going on with our name.
Okay.
And so we look at like, hey, what are the CRMs to choose from? What are the messenger clients to choose from? And now we're starting to talk about like, what are your AI tool stack? So
Right.
you can
I like
jump
that a
right
lot.
in. Totally. What gaps do you see in the industry between your digital ambitions and realities today?
Yeah, so a big part of that, I think, kind of comes right with the stage we are, and we're actually kind of in a transition right now from moving from that MVP of where I kind of came on as the technical co-founder, and it was what can I build to just have enough to go out and find that product market fit, to now having we have a professional CTO with his dev team that he's worked in the past, who are currently building that sort of next iteration of our product that is the professional, the sort of professionalized version, right? And so that comes across. We're going to be launching an iOS app and an Android app, which is going to be huge for us because this type of thing, right? We had mentioned Uber a couple times now, but that's how people are used to doing it. That's how people want to do it. And then moving on, right, when I did the initial build where I was just kind of hammering out code myself, I did a lot of sort of third-party workarounds, right? Hosting stuff on Wix or using, Firebase or sort of any kind of third party that could just take a chunk of that infrastructure work and just put it off our shoulders. That, down the line, you want to kind of professionalize and build into your own tech product.
Yeah.
And so we're making that transition while also having a team is going to allow us to iterate faster, while also making it the type of thing where I'm not splitting my time between either, you know, building tech or growing the business. And I can really have a lot more time to focus on that growth in what's next instead of maintaining what we have now.
Well, I want to compliment you on that. I went and checked out what's up there now. You did a great job just validating your idea with some lead gen, kind of lead gen-esque booking engine, where you had your yachts available. You could go on there. You could kind of say like, hey, I'm interested in that. I'm sure you guys were doing some
Yeah,
hustling behind the
definitely.
scenes to like linkage it up. But
Definitely.
this is
Yeah.
what this is, and I'm talking to clients all the time. Like, this is what we have to do now. The VC market is tight. They're not going to give us money unless we can prove the concept.
Exactly.
That's professional bootstrapping that you did to like validate your MVP, and then that's great. Now you got your full-time CTO with his team. You're going out, you're starting to think about a cross-platform user experience. But you can't get to that next step unless you know
Exactly.
your idea is good and you have those first set of customers. So great job. And
Thank you.
what
Thank you.
what you did was pretty slick. Like I could definitely see using that to get on one of those yachts. So
Thank you. Thank you.
cool, man. How do you align your technology roadmap with your overall business strategy?
Yeah, so I think right, part of that I kind of touched on in terms of where we were then versus where we are now in terms of the resources we had in thinking about it from that side of things. I think it was also right making sure we could iterate really quickly because especially in those early stages, our initial idea was so different from where we are now, and there were pivots and kind of get a product out and see if the market accepts it. And oh no, they don't. We got to, rebuild a bunch of stuff in the next week and try again. And so I think, it's really trying to get something to where you can get customer feedback, whether that's just enough of something to where you can get on the phone and start having conversations, up to the point where you can get to, having actual customers using it and having data and analytics be measuring how they're using it and, what is converting, what isn't. And I think, in terms of those customer conversations, an example, we were talking to someone, and a big part of what we try to do is get people who have never been on a yacht and think of yachting as this sort of thing that's like, oh, it's not for me. That's for, rich people and billionaires and famous people and whatever, and find out, hey, yeah, this is absolutely something you can do. You can be spending kind of the same thing you're already spending going out to a bar or a club or going out to dinner or whatever. If you're splitting the costs amongst your group, you're not really paying that much more and you're getting this 10x awesome experience. And so we were talking to someone and he was like, oh, this is so cool, but I could never afford it. And we were like, well, like, what would your budget be? Let's say you get 12 people, you want to go out for 4 hours. Like, what kind of budget would you have? And he gave us a number and we were like, we can absolutely work with that budget. And what we realized is, right, the first layer of that onion was kind of communicating price. The second layer was really someone who's never done this before doesn't know how to, find a yacht and pick the catering and the whatever to get to that price they want. So we built this feature that our customers have loved that we're calling budget first booking, right? Where you just give us a number, how many people you want, and where you want to go, and then we'll generate the top 20 best trips that fall within that budget with catering, with alcohol, with water toys, with crew. And you just pick one, then you can customize it and book, and you're all set. Kind of working back from what does our customer know to where do they have to end up? And how can we remove all of the friction from that process?
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's really cool. As you go forward, how do you have a strategy for how you're going to determine like what feature to put in front of the next feature? How do you generally approach that? And to a product owner, this may be a really basic question, but there are a lot of folks in like that listen to the pod that are still trying to figure out how they prioritize different features when it seems like they need to build all of them.
Definitely. So I think, and that's a really interesting question because I think particularly for us, right, we're from a business model perspective, we're a marketplace. So we have these multiple stakeholders. We have the demand side, right, the customers who are booking these trips. We have the supply side, right, the yacht owners who are listing their boats with us. And then we have ourselves, right, in our business model. So it's kind of managing within these stakeholders, there might be a feature that helps demand. There might be a feature that helps supply. There might be a feature that helps us in our business model and provides an extra monetization channel or whatever. And so part of it is kind of, balancing against the broader business goals. Like right now, over the last, I don't know, if you look back a couple months ago when we were first opening up South Florida, right, supply kind of hit like that. And it was super easy to get people to start listing their boats with us because they understand the problem with the current market and they're just so excited that someone's innovating in it. Plus, it's really
Sure.
no cost to them to let them list their yacht with us, right? And so
Hmm.
it's kind of like, okay, within that context, we had an owner analytics feature we wanted to build, but that's not doing anything. That's not moving the business forward because we're not having any friction on that side of our business. And so we then kind of have to look, all right, demand naturally that just takes a while to ramp up as you get your marketing, whatever. And is there anything we can do to kind of push that along? Because that's what needs a little bit of extra gas.
Sure. Yeah, the two-sided marketplaces do have as opposed to like a tech-enabled service or direct to consumer, it does have that added complexity because you got to kind of deal out the cards evenly. You got to do one for supply side, one for demand side, maybe one for a little internal
Yeah.
efficiency, and you got to kind of keep handing the cards out and dole them out. So Really cool. What lessons have you learned from tech initiatives that failed to deliver expected value? You mentioned some trial and error that you had
Yeah.
done. Really interested in some of those lessons learned.
And I think, yeah, in terms of in that trial and error phase, I think it was kind of learning we kind of had this problem where we kept being, all right, maybe if we add one more feature, we'll get that market fit, okay, that didn't work. Maybe we just need one more feature because they're really looking for this and one more feature. And it's just like, it's easy to get on that sort of development role without stepping back and saying, okay, it's not about the features. We need to, one, just first be able to communicate this with people and get people who are willing to listen, to try it, to see, and get this conversation going to say, are you even building features in the right direction, or should you be doing a more fundamental pivot? When you are building features, are you building the right ones that people actually care about and want to use? And kind of just, or maybe your product is everything it needs to be and there's no issue with the product, and you just need to find the language and the communication to be able to sell it, or you need to be able to find the right audience to sell it. And it's kind of easy to, especially after you've spent a bunch of time building product and you're kind of focused, that part of your brain is active and everything, to kind of have this problem of not finding that market acceptance and be like, okay, I've been building features. You know what'll solve this? Another feature.
Yeah,
And
right.
that's just not,
Totally true.
it's
Like
not the
the art of talking to customers is sometimes really overlooked. We think we can market our way out of the hole or build our way out of the hole, but when we just talk to users, we can really figure out what's going
exact.
on. And um, those early adopters also, they love to be a part of that journey. In SaaS, we always saw that even if you were meeting a need, but not all the needs. And then they could see that the product was moving over time towards some of their feedback. I mean, a user said a couple of times a user would say, "Hey, I wish we could do XYZ." And a couple of weeks later, sprint or two later, we've relaunched that. Loyal users for life, and those are the ones that'll pick up the phone and call you and say, "Hey, I just thought of something that you could do to help me." You build in the early days, you kind of build loyalty through the user driven backlog.
Definitely, definitely. And those users are priceless and are, you know, in terms of both the way, at least for us, helping define the direction we build the product, right? Like I had told you, that budget first booking feature, which has been huge for us, that came from one of those users. But then also, promoting the business and building that organic, that referral, that repeat, um,
Yeah.
is just so important to have.
Yeah, the power of case studies and or influence. Just every customer becomes an influencer in a way.
So,
Awesome. How do you cultivate a culture of innovation and digital fluency within your organization?
yeah, so I guess going back to when we started, my co-founder and I, one of the kind of things we like to say about this industry and how we approach it is it was kind of easy for us to think outside the box because we were never in the box. Neither of us have a background in yachting. I come from a tech background. My co-founder was a finance background and really came into it because as customers, we saw just how frustrating the process of trying to book a day charter was. And so, coming out of it into it from outside the box, but then as we've been scaling the team, right, almost everyone we brought on has been someone we approached for a different reason. For example, our CTO is a yacht owner who built a tech company, was very successful, had a successful exit, and we approached him about using his yacht, but he was just so excited about the idea in innovating in the yacht space that he was like, I want in. And that's how it's been for almost everyone we brought on the team, is it's really the innovation that has been the hook for them to get them on board. So having that sort of culture of innovation is kind of easy because they're coming to us before we're even bringing them on board. They're firing off ideas and bringing their perspective on the industry and how they want to see it innovated, because it's that excitement that's driving them to join.
That's cool. Yeah, setting your intention, like, hey, we intend to be the Uber for yachts, and
100%.
just is there's a kind of a mindset metaphor is, does intention matter more or less or equal? Like, what's the ratio of intention versus mechanism that you need to get to a result? So you'll see intention plus mechanism equals result. And
Right.
it's a trick question because really all you need is 100% intention, and the
Right.
mechanisms will find themselves, right? You
I
just
like
set
that
your
one a
intention,
lot.
like,
I
we're
like
going to
that.
build this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, to any other kind of founders out there, it's one of the most important things you can do is to be able to speak with tons of enthusiasm, ambition, and passion about what you're building, because that is contagious. And when people hear that and they get excited about it as well, that's good things happen.
Awesome. Are there any other shared experiences that you'd want to share with people who are beginning their digital transformation journey?
Yeah, I would say at the beginning and thinking back, I guess, on my own journey, one of the most important things kind of coming on as a technical co-founder was taking advantage of the fact that we were so small that I couldn't just be technical, right? And I had to do marketing and sales and even, regulatory research and finance and kind of. Right. As you scale, you tend to get more specialized in sort of dealing with abstractions of what's going on in the rest of the business. But I think taking advantage of when you're small and you can't do that, the fact that you have such a good picture of everything that is going on and how it all comes together, right? Because I think one of the biggest challenges with building tech is so often not the gap between, the coder and the program they're building, but between, the vision of what that program should be, and then getting that sort of fully communicated to whoever's actually building it. And, if you're doing both, which you kind of have to do early on, that gives you um such a great ability to really make the product work for what you're doing.
Awesome. That's really cool. So what I'd love to ask just to wrap up here is there a pick, a book, a product, something that you've come across that you think it's worth recommending to others?
Yeah, let me think on that. So, there are a couple great books, great books. There's Wartime Software, which is one I read that really helped me kind of wrap my head around that sort of quick-paced moving and pushing new features, and the way they get rolled out and sort of managing, because when I first started this, I knew how to code, but I didn't really have the best sense of sort of organizing a whole tech product. And then I think another one, so there is, it's called Big Desk Energy, and it is a newsletter from Tyler, the founder of Beehive. And he is really good about what he calls building in public, which is basically just being super transparent about the whole process. And it's really cool seeing sort of, a few steps down the line in the successful direction from another founder. The stories, the processes, a lot of the thought behind a lot of different stuff.
Mm. Really fun. Okay, cool. Yeah. They have a really fun website too.
Definitely.
Um, awesome. Cool, man. Well, awesome. It's been great getting to know you. Is there, how can people find you? And is there any shameless plug that you want to throw out here?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, first of all, thanks so much for having me. This has been so fun. And it's been great getting to know you as well. And I would say check out ridenauta.com to see, check out yachts in your area. And you can
Yeah, get on that boat.
definitely, you can find us on Instagram at ridenauta. And yeah, share the most amazing experience with the people you love by inviting them on a yacht. And even if you think it's not for you, I would implore you to go check it out because it's a lot more accessible than I think most people have imagined in their heads.
Yeah, cool. All right, man. Well, you have a great one, and thanks for being with us here at the Particle Accelerator.
Awesome. Thanks so much. You have a great one too.